Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Keating Sports Center in Chicago, Illinois, for a Holiday Hoops presentation of Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks men's basketball here on YouTube Live and the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network. Tonight, it's a battle of the winning streaks for this NAC men's basketball matchup as the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks come in with a record of 4-4 with a 3-game winning streak, and they put that winning streak on the line against the top team in the NAC, the reigning conference champions, the St. Norbert Green Knights. Hello, everyone. Chris Rouse here on the call. As I just mentioned, Illinois Tech 4-4, 2-1 in the conference play this far on the season. They'll go up against the NAC conference champions who come in with a record of 5-2. They are 3-0. But also St. Norbert has won 4 in a row of their own coming into this matchup. And for Illinois Tech, who is a team that has embraced a faster pace, more offense, this is a bit of a litmus test for the Scarlet Hawks going up against the reigning conference champions. But also this St. Norbert team also coming in having won 4 in a row. Something has to give this evening here inside the Keating Sports Center, and we are ready for what should be a very fun matchup this evening. But before we get into the back and forth between the Green Knights and the Scarlet Hawks, Illinois Tech going to recognize one of their own, and it will be Garrison Carter who will take the floor. Garrison Carter against Kalamazoo on Saturday amassed 1,000 career points, and in this moment, the Scarlet Hawks will take a moment to recognize Garrison Carter, currently sitting at 1,019 career points, and here is the ceremony.
We have a special presentation taking place at half court where Garrison Carter and his family please come out to half court. During Saturday's game against Kalamazoo, 2 minutes remaining in the first half, Garrison carried a three-pointer to achieve his 1,000th career point as an Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawk. Congratulations to Garrison.
And the ceremony completed here for Garrison Carter. Well deserving is Garrison Carter, the combo forward for the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks. Leads the team at 18.5 a game at the moment. And with 1,019 career points, definitely will add to that as he goes along in his season. But now we get ready for the playing of the national anthem and the introduction of the starting lineups here inside the Keating Center.
Profanity, racial, sexist, or other abusive comments and actions directed at the officials, student athletes, coaches, or team representatives will not be tolerated and may be grounds for approval from the Keating Sports Center. Fans, a reminder, permission to enter the court or the bench areas are restricted to student athletes, coaches, game officials, game day staff, and authorized personnel. Unauthorized individuals violating this policy will be subject to removal from the Keating Sports Center. Would all fans now please rise and remove your hats as we honor America for the playing of our national anthem.
look at it from?
Oh, YouTube. Huh? YouTube. Oh, you talking about down here? Yeah. And there are the starting lineups for this evening's matchup. First for the visiting St. Norbert College Green Knights, 5-2 record, 3-0 in conference play, wearing the green uniforms with gold numbers, gold swipes and lines on the sides with white trim. They'll start with number 0, Will Stuckey. Number 5, Ryan Cox. Number 20, Connor Pitletsky. Number 30, Cole Olenbrock. And number 33, Mason Freiberger. They're led by head coach Gary Gresh in his 19th season. 360 and 119 is the record for Coach Gresh. On the other sideline, Coach T.J. Gray in his 6th season will start number 3, John Davis III. Number 5, Owen Walsh. Number 15, O'Brien Kuzmanovic. Number 22, Nicholas Ortiz. And Mr. 1,000 points in his career himself, number 30, Garrison Carter, actually will jump here against Freiberger to start it off. Carter versus Freiberger to begin the action, and Carter wins the tip for Illinois Tech in the white uniforms with the black numbers with red trim. It says Tech on the left side of the legs, and it has the Scarlet Hawk on the right side as Illinois Tech begins with the opening possession. Garrison Carter's first touch gives it right back to Kuzmanovic, who's entered the starting lineup as of late for Illinois Tech. And here is Kuzmanovic, wide open three. Nice kick out by Nicholas Ortiz. And Illinois Tech, Coach T.J. Gray, happy to have Ortiz back on the court this season. Missed a number of games due to injury. And Illinois Tech with an early 3-point advantage. The theme of this matchup has certainly scoring. Illinois Tech with Garrison Carter, we've talked about him averaging 1,000 a game, scoring 1,000 in his career. But Illinois Tech as a team averaging 76 this season. And there's the first two of the day for Cole Olenbrock, the junior out of Neenah, Wisconsin, opens the scoring for St. Norbert. Here's John Davis III. He has certainly helped Illinois Tech pick up their scoring pace this season. A team that averaged 64 a year ago, averaging 76 right now, halfway through December. But they're going up against a St. Norbert team that, having won the NAC Conference Championship last year, they start the season 5-2. They lost their top 3 scorers, Jamison Nikolai, assistant coach now Garrett Gresh, and Brant Wilson. But how they've improved this season has been the play of Will Stuckey, averaging 13 a game. Walsh misses the 3. Ryan Cox has been key on the boards this season. Cox had a career high in rebounds earlier in the season for St. Norbert, amassing double-digit rebounds, had 11 boards. St. Norbert on offense here with Freiberger. Here's a handoff to Ryan Cox. Cox has struggled offensively to create for himself, but he sort of gets those scrappy buckets. He'll get those rebounds and lay him back up, or he'll hustle and score. Here's Davis to the rim the other way, trying to hustle and score, but he's blocked out of bounds by Connor Pitletsky. Pitletsky a season ago was 4th on St. Norbert's team in scoring. He has jumped up to 2nd this season. He only averaged 8 last season. He's averaging 13 this season, good for 2nd behind Stuckey. Here's Kuzmanovic. Ortiz down low to Carter. Carter facing up against the aforementioned Pitletsky. That's Carter's spot, but he couldn't get that one to go. Despite the miss, Coach T.J. Gray, just to my right, he even nodded despite the miss. That is the shot you want if you're Illinois Tech. Carter, throughout his career, has sort of made a living scoring with those face-up jumpers. Here's a 3 for St. Norbert. Wide open look for Ryan Cox. I said he usually gets a lot of hustle buckets. There's a set 3, certainly improving that outside shot. And Cox with his first 3 of the evening gives St. Norbert their first lead at 5-3. And then Cox deflects the ball for a turnover. Coach T.J. Gray wanted a kick. No kick as Ullenbrock recovered the loose ball. Cox dribbles inside. Tried to drop it off to Freiberger. It was stolen by Walsh. Illinois Tech will take the air out of the ball here with Kuzmanovic as now Coach T.J. Gray and Nicholas Ortiz make eye contact for the play call. Ortiz out near the volleyball line. That's approximately 25 feet from the basket. Ortiz, good job finding Kuzmanovic. 3 on the way. Off the rim, rebounded by Pitleski. Ortiz, a bit of that left-right offense you see in NBA 2K to finally free himself up to hit Kuzmanovic, but unable to convert was number 15 in white. Stuckey swings it over to Cox. Cox on the drive. Kicks it back out to Ullenbrock for 3. That's off the right heel of the rim, and a bit of a miscommunication by Illinois Tech as Kuzmanovic tapped it away from Carter, but Ortiz ran it down. Ortiz. Down low to Carter, was poked away defensively by Cox. He certainly is scrappy. You see how he gets minutes on this team. You see how he makes an impact for St. Norbert immediately. Ortiz a 3. Rebounded by Stuckey. Haven't called St. Norbert's leading scorer's name much, but here's Stuckey on the drive as now he kicks it back out. And a reach-in foul, first whistle of the evening. This one to go against Obrad Kuzmanovic, the first-year player out of London. Nick Galati will enter the game for the first time for Illinois Tech. He'll replace Owen Walsh. Also a pair of reserves in now for St. Norbert as Charlie Geske, number 21, came in. And Illinois Tech trying to recover defensively here against St. Norbert. There's a feed down low to Jaden Grade, who lays it up and in. Grade was the other reserve that came in there with Geske. And Grade immediately comes in and scores his first 2 of the evening. I remember Grade when these two teams met last December here at the Keating Center. There's John Davis III with a pull-up jumper. And Davis on the board for the first time this evening. Illinois Tech down by 2, but a pretty good fast-paced feeling out process here in these first 5 minutes. Davis this season averaging 15.9 for Illinois Tech, second on the team. Total of 127 points behind Carter's 148. Ball kicked out for Cox. That 3 well left, and that's an air ball over to Illinois Tech. You can see that one well left out of the hands of Ryan Cox. Cox enters the game a 22% three-point shooter, shooting 6 of 27, now making 6 of 28. Timeout with 15:26 remaining in the first half. It's 7-5 St. Norbert. We'll be right back to the Keating Center after this here on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network and YouTube Live. (7-5) score here in the first half. St. Norbert with an early lead against the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks. Chris Rouse here on the call, sitting courtside at the Keating Sports Center, where the 4-4 Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks are in possession of the ball, going up against the 5-2 St. Norbert Green Knights. Both of these teams coming in with winning streaks. Illinois Tech has won 3 straight. St. Norbert has won 4 straight, including their most recent outing, Saturday, a win over the MSOE Raiders. Illinois Tech with a win on Monday against Albion to get them to 3 straight, following a win against Kalamazoo on Saturday, where Garrison Carter finally amassed 1,000 career points. Carter looking for 3, looking for his first points of this evening, unable to score. Ortiz, great effort. He gets down on the floor with Cox. Great battle. That's 2 guys that'll leave it all on the floor. The possession arrow favors St. Norbert. And so the Green Knights will take over in the backcourt as Illinois Tech extends their defense 1-2-2, full court press with Davis applying the pressure at the top. Isaiah Dudley set to check in for Illinois Tech as well, which indicates that they would like a bigger rim protector with Carter out there at 6'5", along with Kuzmanovic. Those are the 2 biggest players for Illinois Tech in the game. Dudley goes 6'8". Here's Cox. Swings it over to Grade. Nice bounce pass inside by Grade. St. Norbert, they're really good at redirecting the attack as there's Cox who drives in. Left angle, left block, left hand, layup for 2. 5 points to match the jersey number for Cox. Cox actually tied with Illinois Tech by himself. 9-5 score. Carter out high, guarded by Freiberger. Carter on the drive, just trying to get in the book here is Garrison Carter, but he's missed on his first 2 attempts. Outlet pass, good lead ahead of the pack, but the ball mishandled by Freiberger. Ryan Cox had the right idea there, the sophomore out of Palatine, Illinois. Cox attended Fremd, which has been one of the Illinois powers the last few years. They've been in those rankings if you go through the Chicago Sun-Times rankings, depending on which publication you use as the local Illinois rankings. Fremd is usually in that top 25, which is to say that they certainly produce a lot of players, a number of players in the Fremd area at the D3 level. I remember Chicago had a team with a couple of Fremd recruits just a few blocks south of here. Here's Galati. Swings it over to Kuzmanovic. Bryce Shoto into the ball game. Shoto, the sophomore out of Oswego East, a former member of the Wolfpack. Here's Isaiah Dudley. Kuzmanovic wanted to hit Dudley. Shot clock at 1. Shoto's going to have to shoot to beat the horn. He got it off, but he missed it. Rebounded by Cox. Cox snatched it away from Galati, and now he wheels out to avoid Kuzmanovic. Cox on the drive. Kicks to the corner. That's a 3 on the way for Grade. Unable to convert is Jaden. Rebounded by St. Norbert. Second chance as Stuckey. Stuckey got right into the paint. I thought maybe Stuckey was going to shoot it himself. Instead, he tried to hit Rosalind, and he threw it away. So Illinois Tech, they'll take over on the sideline here. Ortiz goes to the bench for the first time, as it'll be Davis, Shoto, Dudley, Carter, and Galati, the 5 for Illinois Tech. Grade, Rosalind, Stuckey, Geske, and then the foul right there from Pitleski rounds out the 5 for St. Norbert. Thank you, Connor, for helping me find that 5th player as he picks up the foul. So the first foul of the game for St. Norbert goes against Pitleski, and that will put Isaiah Dudley at the line. Dudley, 6'8", junior out of West Columbia, South Carolina. And Isaiah hits the first. Dudley certainly a great addition to this team, sort of the extension in a long line of big men that have played here at Illinois Tech within the last 10 years since I've been coming to this place to do games. I remember Max Hizataki was 6'8". Joshua Iguati last season was 6'10", and now this season they add Isaiah Dudley. Dudley playing in all 9 games now for Illinois Tech. And Dudley, a 50% free throw shooter on the season, hits both there. Grade, guarded by Shoto. Back up top to Stuckey. Stuckey has not been comfortable on many of his touches here in the early going of the first half. Good hands by Davis and Carter. Ball kicked up to Geske. Here's a chance for Grade. Grade with 1. He got it off over Shoto. It's off the rim. Rebounded by Carter. Garrison Carter, ball handling into the front court. The combo forward that's proven he can do it all here at Illinois Tech. He tried to get an assist there to Galati, but Galati missed the 3. Grade swings it over to Rosalind. Here's Stuckey. Swinging over to Geske. Geske held the ball high. I thought he was going to go for the entry feed to Rosalind, who goes 6'8", which is why Dudley's out there. And there's, speaking of Dudley, he picks up the foul on the curl. First foul against Dudley. That would be the second against the Scarlet Hawks. Galati had the other foul. As now both teams with substitutions here. Omar Salman, number 4, is in for the first time for Illinois Tech. It'll be Shoto, Galati, Dudley, Kuzmanovic, and Salman. Here is Grade. Up top to Lathos. In for the first time is Cam Lathos, sophomore out of Schaumburg. He attended Conant. That's another school that's been in the IHSA or the local publications in the rankings as of late. He hit Grade for the basket. Grade now has 4. Jaden Grade out of Brandon, Wisconsin. Here's Salmon for 3. He comes in and he shoots a wedgie. And not really the way you want to make an impact when you come into the ball game. You can see Salmon immediately turns around and looked right at the bench after that wedgie. Less than favorable response from the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks coaching staff. 11:32 to go here in the first half. Both teams still trying to figure out their offense in the early going. Illinois Tech down 4. It's 11-7 St. Norbert. We'll be right back with more here on YouTube Live and on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network. Back here at the Keating Sports Center in Chicago, Scarlet Hawks trailing the St. Norbert Green Knights 11-7 with 11:32 to go here in the first half. This is the home finale for the Scarlet Hawks here in 2025. The next time the Scarlet Hawks will be home will be January the 3rd, 3:15 p.m. when they take on the team that St. Norbert just beat on Saturday, the MSOE Raiders. That will be a part of a women's and men's basketball doubleheader right here on Saturday, January the 3rd. Scarlet Hawks, women's and men's basketball to kick off the new year on Saturday, January the 3rd, beginning at 1 p.m. on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network and YouTube Live. Shoto to Kuzmanovic, and here's Ortiz back into the game. Ortiz and Walsh back out there for the Scarlet Hawks. Shot clock at 3. Shot clock at 2. Ortiz isn't going to get that off in time, and that's a turnover for Illinois Tech. Coach T.J. Gray looking at Brad Kuzmanovic. He was basically telling him the shot clock was at 3. You got to shoot. Kuzmanovic got the ball at 3 and tried to back down. He then handed it off to Ortiz, and that was just a tough handoff, and it led to the turnover. That's only the second turnover for Illinois Tech. Both of them, however, credited to Ortiz. Here's Cox. Cox with 5 points to lead the way, and now he'll add on to his point total. Ryan Cox up to 7, and the St. Norbert lead is 6. Once again, Cox tied with Illinois Tech. He has 7. Scarlet Hawks have 7. Shoto to Walsh. Slower pace to this game considering how Illinois Tech has played the majority of the season, including in their 3 wins. Rebound and outlet by Grade. He's got Cox ahead of the pack. Cox, nice scooping reverse layup off the glass by Ryan Cox to finish inside. Well, a few moments ago, I was trying to say those Frim kids can play, and there you see Cox displaying it right there. Dudley. Over to Ortiz. Ortiz tried to bake one off the glass. Unable to finish. Rebounded again by St. Norbert. It was Pitleski, and now he's fouled. So the foul will go against Shoto, his third foul of the game against Illinois Tech. The 3s thus far have gone against Shoto, Dudley, and Galati. Meanwhile, the lone foul against St. Norbert went against Pitleski when he fouled Dudley. And those 2 points by Dudley, actually, that was the last time Illinois Tech scored. Here is Stuckey into the front court. Bounces it off to Brown. Ryan Brown in for the first time. Brown gave it up, and then he got it right back. Then he hands it off inside. Nice finish. Great patience by Cam Lathos as he had arms swiping all around him. And St. Norbert now by 10. Davis. Davis had a hand extended, maybe got away with a bit of a push-off against Stuckey. Offensive rebound by Ortiz. Carter working inside. Kicks it out to Kuzmanovic. Ball around the horn to Walsh. Good drive baseline. Walsh reverse layup. Got it to go. Good finish by Owen Walsh as he sort of tighten-roped the baseline and then finished with the right-hand layup. First 2 for Owen Walsh. Walsh now defending Stuckey. Here's Lathos. Switched on by Walsh. Now Stuckey guarded by Carter. Stuckey drives on Garrison. And the finish by Stuckey as one leading scorer finishes over the other. Stuckey took Carter down to the right block. Kissed it high off the glass for 2. And Stuckey draws the foul on Garrison. First foul of the game against Carter. Carter currently more fouls than points right now. 1 foul, no points. Meanwhile, Stuckey That was his first 2. So the 2 leading scorers for their respective teams. Bit of a slow start, but there's Stuckey with his first 3 of the game, averaging 13.9 a game for the Green Knights. Remember last season, St. Norbert, they had Jamison Nikolai and they had Garrett Gresh, and then they had Brant Wilson leading the way. Totally new leading scorers this season for St. Norbert. Carter loses the ball, but he's able to recover. Swings it over to Davis. Davis inside. He left that one well off the glass. Rebounded by St. Norbert. Illinois Tech, a season ago, was DeAndre Vortez, who wore number 3, and Garrison Carter, who led the way for Illinois Tech. Well, it's sort of the same, as Davis wears 3 now, and Carter is the leading scorer. Here's Kuzmanovic. Carter on the drive. Stopped at the free throw line. Passes off to Walsh. Illinois Tech just trying to find a quality look. There's one from Carter. He missed it. Ortiz maybe went over the back and got away with it. Yeah, Coach Gary Gresh, he immediately looked at the officials, and he couldn't believe that Ortiz wasn't called for the over the back there. But Illinois Tech will get the possession. 20 on the shot clock, 8:02 to go in the half. Walsh to Kuzmanovic. Kuzmanovic hands it up to Davis. Davis to Obrad Kuzmanovic. Right-hand jump hook is good in traffic for Obrad Kuzmanovic. Coach Ebenezer Nunu yelling at his team, get back defensively. Scarlet Hawks get back into a 2-1-2 zone. Bit of a stagger here because Kuzmanovic is up and down, so a bit of a 2-1-2 and a 2-3. Ortiz almost had a steal there, but couldn't get it before it went out of bounds. Ball goes out of bounds with 7:37 to go in the half. And we'll take a break with St. Norbert up by 9. Kuzmanovic with the jump hook. That's the most recent score for Illinois Tech. Scarlet Hawks find themselves down by 9 as they search for answers on the sideline. We'll be back with more on YouTube Live and on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network. Back here at the Keating Sports Center in Chicago, Scarlet Hawks trailing the St. Norbert Green Knights by 9. 20-11 hour score. Chris Routes here on the call for this NAC men's basketball matchup. St. Norbert first in the Northern Athletics Collegiate Conference. Meanwhile, Illinois Tech currently at 5th place, going up against the defending conference champions. St. Norbert able to get to the second round of the NCAA Division III tournament a year ago before losing to Wisconsin lacrosse. And there's a 3 from Stuckey. He misses. And a whistle on the baseline. Illinois Tech wanted out of bounds. Instead, we'll get a foul on Owen Walsh. So the first foul against Walsh is the team's second. Excuse me, the team's 5th. And now a steal by Ortiz. Walsh right now with 2 points in the game. Now here's Carter to the basket. Carter looking for his first 2. And now Garrison gets on the board. That's 1,021 in the career of Garrison Carter here at Illinois Tech. Averaging 18.5 points per game, but just now getting his first 2 here. And we've played 13 minutes in the first half. Ryan Cox out high. He swings it to Stuckey. Stuckey has been covered by Walsh the majority of the matchup. Stuckey tried to cross-court it to Cox. He does get the pass over. Cox on the drive, left-hand scoop off the rim, rebounded by Ortiz. Cox hit one of those earlier, couldn't get that one to go. Here's Davis. Davis thought about the shot. Instead, Illinois Tech will reset their offense. Good roll by Kuzmanovic. Instead, here's Davis on the cross-court pass. Oh, Davis maybe gave up a look. Instead, got a better one and drew a foul. It appeared as if Davis had the better look when he curled and he passed it off to Kuzmanovic. Obrad gave it right back. Davis instead got the hoop and the harm, and he'll have a chance to complete the three-point play. Davis with 4 in the game. He's second on the team in scoring at 15 a game. I was mentioning earlier how last year was Garrison Carter and DeAndre Vortes who wore number 3. This year is Garrison Carter and John Davis III, who also wears number 3. As now Davis will complete the three-point play. And Illinois Tech really just trying to find some field goals here. You can see they were out of sync for maybe about a 4-minute stretch. After Dudley hit those free throws, they were stuck on 7 for quite some time. And now Illinois Tech with 9 quick ones. Here's Stuckey. Over to Pitleski. Lathos gives it right back. Up top to Pitleski on the fall-away jumper is good from the free throw line. Connor Pitleski, his first 2 of the game. Second on the team in scoring is Pitleski at exactly 13 a game. Here's Walsh. Down low to Kuzmanovic. Kuzmanovic tried to cross-court pass. That's knocked away by Freiberger. He will stay with Illinois Tech on the baseline. 15 on the shot clock, 5:46 to go in the half as Ortiz gets ready to inbound out of the box and 1 under the south basket. Kuzmanovic over to Davis. High screen. Carter, they had Kuzmanovic down low. Garrison didn't want to force it. Instead to go to Walsh. Shot clock at 3. Reverse Ortiz kicks it out to Kuzmanovic, who beats the horn, but he couldn't hit the 3. Carter goes high for the board. Up and in for Garrison Carter, but a travel. Oh, that takes away what was probably could have been a huge momentum-boosting bucket for Illinois Tech. Carter brought the fans in the stadium in the Keating Center to their feet. He got the board. He went through traffic. He laid it up, but he shuffled the feet. And honestly, that's what when we talk about combo forward, that's what we mean out of Garrison Carter, the ability to sort of be that point forward that can create for himself. But much like Ryan Cox, he'll get those dirty buckets, he'll hustle, and he'll get those scrappy baskets. Carter now guarding Pitleski in the corner. Grade to Lathos. Lathos with help defense coming from behind him. Ortiz couldn't get there in time to get the steal. Grade takes the jumper, missed and rebounded by Carter. Great recovery by Ortiz, who gambled to try to get the backside steal. Was unsuccessful, but Illinois Tech comes away unscathed defensively. Kuzmanovic into the paint. Over to Davis, and now once again, Illinois Tech sort of taking the air out of the ball, trying to figure out their next course of action. Here's Walsh. Oh, Walsh dropped it and then picked up his dribble. He gives it to Carter with 4. Carter with 3. Turnaround jumper off to the right, didn't hit the rim, rebounded by Grade. Would have been a shot clock violation had Grade not secured the rebound anyway, but that will go in the stat book as a defensive board for number 2 in green, Jaden Grade. Stuckey, guarded by Davis. Stuckey driving to the baseline. He wanted to reverse it. Instead, he dropped it off, and Mason Freiberger lays it up and in. First 2 for Freiberger. All 5 in the game for St. Norbert have scored. So Stuckey, Grade, Lathos, Pitleski, and now Freiberger, all with at least 2 points. Walsh for 3. Knocks it down. Owen Walsh with 5 to match his jersey number. Illinois Tech back within 5. 4 of the 5 in the game for Illinois Tech have scored. The only player actually in the game that hasn't scored is Ortiz. Here's Stuckey. Up top to Lathos. Carter actually sort of backed off of Lathos once he saw him eye the basket. Bit of a prove-it-to-me look defensively. Lathos working inside on Kuzmanovic. He's just too strong as he lays that one up and in. Lathos goes 6'6" out of Schaumburg, Illinois, attended Conant. And his bucket there gives St. Norbert a 7-point lead, and Coach T.J. Gray wants a timeout. 3:15 remaining here in the first half, where St. Norbert leads it 26-19. We'll be right back with more Holiday Hoops here on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network and on YouTube Live. Final 3:15 here in the first half at the Keating Sports Center, where the St. Norbert Green Knights lead the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks by 7. NCAA Division III men's basketball action continuing here in this NAC matchup, the Northern Athletics Collegiate Conference matchup between these two programs. St. Norbert in first place, 5-2, 3-0 in conference play, putting their 4-game winning streak on the line against Illinois Tech's 3-game winning streak. Bryce Shoto on the drive draws the foul against Jaden Grade, who caught Shoto on the arm there. Grade didn't really like that call, but it was actually pretty obvious from my vantage point here at the table. You can really see like how he hit the arm, and once he hit the arm, he actually knocked Shoto off balance. So now Shoto will go to the free throw line. And Shoto with that bit of a push shot formation. He missed a 3 earlier, but he hits the free throw here. 20th made free throw of the season for Shoto. Entering the game a 63% free throw shooter. Now he's 20 of 31. This will be attempt number 32 for Shoto. And he splits a pair. Rebounded by Pitleski. 26-20 score. Illinois Tech extending their defense here with the 1-2-2 press. Cox. Guarded by Davis. Davis actually forcing him back towards the timeline. Coach TJ Gray usually stands next to me here at the table. He's on the baseline. You usually don't see him this intense with the defensive instructions for his team. He's on the other end of the floor, away from me here at the bench. Ball knocked away by Illinois Tech, and whatever TJ was saying, it paid off. It leads to Shoto getting the run out, but Shoto couldn't finish. Bryce wanted a foul, didn't get it. Rebounded by St. Norbert. Grade. And right back to Ryan Cox, who's picked up defensively by Galati. They've got Pitleski on Shoto. Shoto tried to draw the whistle. No foul call. The shot in traffic from Ullenbrock is no good. Rebounded by Illinois Tech's 30 in Carter. Carter to Galati and over to Shoto. Coach TJ Gray calls out the play from right in front of me here at the table. And now with exactly 2 minutes to go, Illinois Tech's number 2, Shoto, gets the screen from Dudley. Shoto tried to hit Isaiah Dudley on the roll. Ball deflected away and stolen by St. Norbert. Grade gives it up to Freiberger. Cox right back to Freiberger. Galati he is going around a number of screens just to stay with Cox. And as I say that, now he gets switched on the low block against Freiberger. There's Cox, top of the key over Dudley. And that's what happened. Galati did a great job of going around 2 or 3 screens to stay with Cox. But once Galati got switched on Freiberger on the low block, no one picked up Cox. And Ryan Cox now has 12 with that latest 3. Davis over to Galati. Galati on the drive. Good help defense by Cox. It could be a travel, and it is. Good call by the officials. Galati was trying to avoid the pressure on his back from Pitleski. And much the same as when we saw Ortiz try a backside double team earlier from Illinois Tech. Cox came in on the backside, and Galati trying to avoid both. Instead, just walked with the ball. 9-point lead for St. Norbert with 1:03 until halftime. Ball out high by Grade. Excuse me, that's Stuckey. Hands it off to Cox. Here's Stuckey, picked up by Shoto. Shoto knocked it away. That comes to the table. Good effort by Shoto as he leaves some skin on the floor for that loose ball, but it will go to St. Norbert. Ball goes out of bounds with 9 on the shot clock. St. Norbert with a height switch here as they will go with Lathos for Freiberger. They're both listed as 6'6", but Freiberger's been more, I guess he's been more away from the basket than Lathos here. Here's Stuckey on the runner in traffic. Stuckey missed, rebounded by Carter. Carter gives it to John Davis. Coach TJ Gray telling his team, let's get a good shot here. 8-second differential game in shot clock. Game at 25, shot at 17, and Shoto gets out near the timeline. He's picked up by Cox. Carter sets the screen. Now he gets it off from Shoto. Carter inside, a whistle, and another travel. Coach TJ Gray thought Garrison kept the foot down. And I'm looking at Coach TJ Gray as he's having the discussion with the official. He's saying that he's keeping the foot down. The officials are disagreeing with him. As now Illinois Tech turns it over, and St. Norbert will take a timeout here with 13 2/10 of a second remaining in the half. Coming up at halftime, we'll recap our first half stats. We'll preview the second half, and we'll also go over what's going on in the NAC here. St. Norbert looking to maintain first place, make a bit of a statement win here against Illinois Tech by ending this 3-game winning streak that the Scarlet Hawks currently have. We know Wisconsin Lutheran was ranked last week. They've dropped out of the D3 Hoops rankings. So we'll go over everything that's going on around the NAC. Coming up at halftime in 13 2/10 of a second. We're glad that you could join us for this final home game of the 2025 calendar year for Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks athletics. Chris Rouse here on the call as now St. Norbert inbounds in the backcourt with Pitleski to Stuckey. Stuckey up against Shoto and a foul with 7 seconds. That'll be the second against Shoto. Some bad luck plays for Shoto, who a few moments ago hustled to the floor but couldn't quite save the ball, and then also had the play earlier where he went inside and thought maybe he should have got fouled but missed the lay-in. Instead, he'll send Stuckey to the line, and Stuckey hits the first. Stuckey now with 4. He only has 1 field goal. That was when he scored on Garrison Carter earlier and got fouled and completed a 3-point play. So the leading scorer for St. Norbert, only 5 in the ball game, but Ryan Cox has picked up with his share of scoring, having 12 points in the game. 7.5 seconds to go, really 7.4, but just under 7.5 as now Davis gets the inbound from Dudley. Here's Davis into the front court. Davis beats the horn. It's off the right of the rim, rebounded by Pitleski. The stat will count. It was before the horn. And at the half, St. Norbert with a 31-20 lead over the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks. Coach T.J. Gray and the Scarlet Hawks had a few spurts in that half where they were able to get within striking distance of St. Norbert, but Ryan Cox with 12 to lead the way for the Green Knights as they lead by 11 at the break. It's halftime here inside the Keating Sports Center. We'll take a break. We'll be back to recap our first half, preview the second half, and go over what's going on around the NAC. All of that coming up on the other side of this break here on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network and on YouTube Live. Illinois Tech wrapping up the 2025 calendar year here on this Wednesday evening against the St. Norbert Green Knights. However, Illinois Tech, despite coming in with a 3-game winning streak, down by 11 here at the half at the hands of the St. Norbert Green Knights as they trail 31-20. Sitting here courtside at the Keating Sports Center, I'm Chris Rouse on the call. And St. Norbert led by Ryan Cox in that first half, as Cox had 12 points to lead the way in 15 minutes played for the Green Knights. Shooting for St. Norbert in that first half, they went 54% from the field, 13 of 24, 25% from 3, 2 of 8, and 100% from the line at 3 for 3. All 3 free throws made by St. Norbert in their first half, made by Will Stuckey. Stuckey with 5 points in the game. And he and Cox are actually the 2 leading scorers at this point. Cox with 12, Stuckey with 5, and then a pair of players with 4, Jaden Grade and Cam Lathos both have 4. For Illinois Tech on the other end, Scarlet Hawks shooting 25% from the floor, 7 of 27, 2 of 14 for 3 for 14%, and they are 4 of 5 for 80% at the free throw line. Leading the way right now for Illinois Tech, it's actually interesting. Illinois Tech they have 20 points in the ball game. They have 3 players with 5. Obrad Kuzmanovic, John Davis III, and Owen Walsh, all 3 with 5 to lead the way for Illinois Tech. Garrison Carter and Isaiah Dudley both have 2, and Bryce Shoto has 1 to round out the scoring for Illinois Tech. On the rebounding battle, St. Norbert leading that battle at 16-15, but the best individual rebounder to this point of the game has been a guard on Illinois Tech. Number 22, Nicholas Ortiz, currently with 6 rebounds. Garrison Carter also with 5 to help Illinois Tech hang into this rebound battle. So they have 11. So Illinois Tech with 11 of the, Carter and Ortiz with 11 of the 15 Illinois Tech rebounds to this point of the ball game. Meanwhile, for St. Norbert, 4 for Connor Pitleski, and then 3 apiece for Jaden Grade and Ryan Cox. St. Norbert coming in having won on Saturday against MSOE, and that's a good way to segue into what's going on around the conference. You know, coming into today's matchup, that St. Norbert comes in as the best team in the conference standings-wise. St. Norbert last season finished second behind Wisconsin Lutheran in the regular season standings, but ended up beating Wisconsin Lutheran in the NAC Conference Championship game before going on to the NCAA tournament. St. Norbert this year in first place, 5-2, 3-0 in conference play. Concordia of Chicago, who a team that's under 500 right now, 4-5, but they are perfect in conference at 3-0, are at second. Aurora and Marion, both 3-1, stand in third and fourth, with Aurora ahead of Marion on the standings. Illinois Tech is in fifth at 2-1 in conference play. They are tied with MSOE, and MSOE they come into the day at 4-4, 2-1 in conference play. Illinois Tech will see MSOE on the other side of the calendar to begin the new year on January the 3rd, where we will have a women's and men's doubleheader beginning at 1 p.m. when the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks women's basketball team takes on MSOE, and that will be followed by the men scheduled for approximately 3:15 on that same Saturday, January the 3rd, right here on YouTube Live and on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network. Elsewhere in the conference, Rockford won last night 91-64 over Maranatha Baptist. Meanwhile, Lakeland lost 86-67 in their most recent outing at the hands of Beloit. So Illinois Tech, if you look at that, there's a couple of losses for Illinois Tech. Well, there's a loss with Lakeland that'll keep them off of Illinois Tech. And then, of course, Rockford, everyone's still trying to figure it. Rockford's trying to catch up and get back into the hunt within the conference. But everyone at this point still getting into the feel of conference play. There you see Rockford. That's a big win for Rockford, being that they are currently 11th in the conference. And then Lakeland down at the bottom, they're 0-4 along with Edgewood. So Illinois Tech right now in 5th place. Remember, you want to be in the top 8 for the conference tournament. And the aforementioned Wisconsin Lutheran, they're right on the line. They are literally the 8th team. They've dropped out of the rankings. They sit at a record of 3-6, 1-2 in conference play after previously being ranked number 23. But now Wisconsin Lutheran sits right at 8th in the conference. Elsewhere in the conference tonight, this is the only 5 o'clock tip-off. Everyone else with a bit of a prime time evening tip-off. Everyone else will start at 7 p.m. locally. Benedictine will take on Edgewood as Edgewood looks to get their first conference win of the season. Benedictine 2-6, 1-2 in conference play. Aurora will take on Concordia University of Chicago, so that's a bit of an early NAC matchup between second and third place. That'll happen as well at 7 p.m. over in River Forest with Concordia hosting Aurora. Wisconsin Lutheran, 8th place, taking on 6th place as they'll host MSOE. And then, of course, rounding out the day of action, Concordia University of Wisconsin, they'll take on Dominican. All of those games scheduled for 7 p.m. as Dominican, the team they are currently sitting at right in the middle of the pack in the conference is Dominican, right behind Wisconsin Lutheran and Benedictine, so they're sitting in 10th. And they will go on to take on Concordia University of Wisconsin later in the matchup, so a battle of 7th versus 10th when those two teams match up later at 7 p.m. One game tomorrow will be Marion taking on Beloit, and then Concordia University of Wisconsin will be back in action when they take on Wisconsin Lacrosse on Saturday. This wraps up the home slate for Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks athletics here in 2025. And on behalf of the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks program, we'd like to say thank you to all that have joined us for all of our sports throughout the 2025 calendar year. As I look around the Keating Center, you see the number of banners that have since been raised for NCAA women's track and NCAA women's soccer. Scarlet Hawks will add another banner thanks to the NAC Women's Soccer Championship this season, able to go back-to-back for the Scarlet Hawks and make another trip to the NCAA tournament. So all of that excitement that has happened in 2025, we hope to carry it over for you in 2026. But we still have one half of basketball here at the Keating Center, where Illinois Tech currently looks to bounce back against St. Norbert and try to rally back and finish the calendar year with a win. Scarlet Hawks trail 31-20 as the Green Knights walk back onto the floor. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll return with second half action here inside the Keating Sports Center on YouTube Live and on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network. Back here at the Keating Sports Center in Chicago, Chris Rouse sitting courtside here at halftime, where St. Norbert has a 31-20 lead over the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks, and this the 7th all-time meeting between these two men's basketball programs. St. Norbert leading the all-time series 5-1 over Illinois Tech and looking to make it 6 here as they lead it by 11, 31-20 at halftime. Illinois Tech's lone win against St. Norbert came back in Wisconsin. That was on November 29th, 2023, when these two teams met back in De Pere, Wisconsin, obviously the home of the St. Norbert Green Knights. And on that day, it was a 92-76 Illinois Tech win. That day, the Scarlet Hawks were led by Desmond Price. He had 25 points in that ball game. Dario Biaggi added 22. Andrew Vian had 19. None of those players still on the team. Meanwhile, Garrison Carter was there. He had 6 points that day for Illinois Tech. And Nicholas Ortiz, at that time wearing number 31, had 9 for the Scarlet Hawks as they were able to beat St. Norbert. And the only time the Scarlet Hawks have come out on the winning end against this team in NAC conference play. St. Norbert has since won the last 3 meetings against Illinois Tech, including the 2 last season. One on December the 18th, 2024, so just about a year to the day. Actually, matter of fact, it was December 18th was a Wednesday last year, so it is sort of the same day, just a different date. And then January the 25th, earlier this year, when St. Norbert won 71-63. The team switched sides with St. Norbert taking over on offense. It'll be Will Stuckey, guarded by John Davis III, as the action resumes here inside the Keating Center. We begin the second half here on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network and on YouTube Live. Pitleski out to Ryan Cox. Cox had 12 points, had a pretty reverse corkscrew layup in the first half, and that one not as pretty as he gets knocked to the floor, but he scores anyway. 14 for Ryan Cox. Ryan Cox, one of those players, he just appears as if he will not be denied, and Illinois Tech, they're finding that out in this game. They're having all sorts of problems stopping number 5 in green. Now Illinois Tech having problems trying to find their own shot. There's Kuzmanovic. Actually, no problem for him as he banks one off the glass. Kuzmanovic up to 7 in the ballgame. Illinois Tech down 11. Illinois Tech had some spurts in that first half. They were able to make it close, but were unable to take that lead from St. Norbert. Illinois Tech had a stretch where they had a 7-0 run. And there's a nice move inside from Freiberger. Freiberger up to 4 in the ballgame. The lead back to 13 for St. Norbert. Largest lead of the game for St. Norbert with this 13-point advantage. Kuzmanovic inside is blocked and a foul. He was blocked by Ullenbrock. Well, Ullenbrock apparently got a piece of the arm. And that has sent Kuzmanovic to the line. First trip to the line for Obrad Kuzmanovic in this ballgame. On the season for Obrad, 5 of 8 at the line, 62%. So attempts number 9 and 10 right here. And he misses the first. And if you're Illinois Tech, you're down 13. We're not even a full 90 seconds into the second half. You have to maximize opportunities. The St. Norbert team, they look like they're going for the early put away here in the first few minutes of the second half. As now Kuzmanovic makes the free throw. He makes the second to get himself to 8 points. You can just feel it on St. Norbert here inside the Keating Center. They look like they're ready to put Illinois Tech away early. You can just tell with how Ryan Cox was going to the basket on those first 2 possessions. Here's Cox. Over to Stuckey. 3 on the way. Rough shooting day for Stuckey continues as that ball goes out of bounds. Stuckey 1 for 4, so he hasn't really had a lot of shots, but still only 25%. In fact, 3 of his 5 points have been at the free throw line. He had the 2 right before the half after being fouled by Shoto, and then he had the 3-point play earlier after being fouled by Carter. Ortiz cut off defensively. Good help by Freiberger. Ortiz on the block. Kicks it out to Walsh. Walsh, nice layup and in. Walsh with a bit of an underhand scoop off the glass. Gets the hoop and the harm. And now Owen Walsh will go to the line with 7 points in the game and looking to complete this 3-point play. First trip to the stripe for Walsh in this ball game as well. So Illinois Tech, not a lot of free throws in that first half. Walsh, a 60% free throw shooter. He was 6 of 10. Now he's 7 of 11. And the Illinois Tech deficit is down to 9. Stuckey. Over to Cox. Back up top to Stuckey. That was an interesting pocket bounce pass there as he went through the pocket of 2 defenders. Here's Cox. He swings it over to Olenbrock for three. Long off the rim. Rebounded by Freiberger. Great effort by Mason Freiberger to go up high and come down with the board. He was battling Walsh, was Freiberger. His first offensive rebound of the game. 3 rebounds for Freiberger. Here's Cox looking for 3 points, but he couldn't knock it down. Rebounded by Pitleski. Ortiz comes up with the ball and a foul. Ortiz and Pitleski were going for the loose ball. Pitleski trips up Ortiz, and Pitleski will get his second foul. That's already 3 in the half for St. Norbert, so Illinois Tech beginning to be a little bit more aggressive. Scarlet Hawks actually led the free throw battle at halftime. They went 4 for 5 in that first half. They're starting to work towards the free throw line more in the second half. Scarlet Hawks had 6 turnovers in that first half. St. Norbert had 5. Ortiz turns the corner and puts the ball into the basket for 2. First 2 of the game for Ortiz. And now with that basket, all starters have scored in the game. Stuckey to Pitleski. And just when it appeared that maybe St. Norbert had the energy to put Illinois Tech away, now St. Norbert taking the air out of the ball. Coach T.J. Gray not too pleased with that call, as that'll be the second foul on Walsh. And Coach Ebenezer Nunu, he's even telling on Walsh, you're good, that was a good play. So that's a good vote of confidence from the coaching staff, basically saying they don't agree with the foul call either, as Illinois Tech goes into the 2-1-2 zone. Sometimes that's key at the D3 level of coaching. Immediately tell a player, hey, that was good. You did your job. It was just a bad call is what the coaches are trying to say. Now they're saying they didn't get to travel is the Illinois Tech coaching staff. A miss inside from Cox, rebounded by Carter, and now Carter comes out of traffic. Coach T.J. Gray still working the officials here in front of me at the table. Carter over to Kuzmanovic and back up to Ortiz as Illinois Tech resets with 20 on the shot clock. Bit of a horns action there with Davis and Kuzmanovic. Corner 3 from Walsh. In and out. Kuzmanovic knocked it down, but Freiberger comes up with the board. Chance of defense from the Illinois Tech bench. Freiberger faces up on Kuzmanovic. He fed Stuckey. Stuckey to Olenbrock, who struggled to handle the ball, then had it swiped away by Ortiz. And Coach T.J. Gray going for that long walk to the end of the Scarlet Hawks bench. And I have to say, from the table, it appeared Ortiz got all ball on the initial swipe, but then there was a bit of a flailing action after the ball was loose, and that led to the foul. And we'll get a timeout here with 15:54 to go in the game. Scarlet Hawks still working the officials, not too appreciative of the most recent calls, but still plenty of time to work back into the ball game. 15:54 to go. We'll be back with more here on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network. Coach T.J. Gray and the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks down by 7 here with 15:54 to go in the game. Coach T.J. Gray still working the officials here. He didn't appreciate a traveling call on Garrison Carter earlier. He didn't like the foul on Walsh, and then he thought St. Norbert got away with the travel. So Coach T.J. Gray having some lengthy conversations with the officials throughout that timeout as St. Norbert comes out of the timeout missing a 3, top of the key with Olenbrock. Here's Davis. Scarlet Hawks on offense with Davis up high. Kuzmanovic gave him the horns action. Nice feed from Davis and the foul. Davis to Kuzmanovic and the and one for Obrad Kuzmanovic, who's getting a lot of touches inside today for Illinois Tech. He has 10 in the ball game. And now as a result, St. Norbert will go to the bench. They'll get Cam Lathos back into the ball game. He'll replace Olenbrock. So Kuzmanovic up to 10 in the game. Looking to complete this 3-point play with 15:33 remaining in the game, and Kuzmanovic does just that. Scarlet Hawks have battled back from down 13. That was their largest deficit. That was earlier here in the second half. Literally the first St. Norbert possession they scored and extended their lead to 13. Or if it wasn't the first, it may be the first or second. It was very early in the half. Here's Grade. Grade over to Stuckey. Stuckey guarded by Ortiz. Up top to Cox. Cox on the drive. Got knocked off balance by Carter and missed the shot in traffic. Rebounded by Carter. Carter to Walsh. Walsh into the basket. The hoop. And a foul. But it'll be an offensive foul. Still looking for a clear call. It is an offensive foul. I was thinking that's going to be offensive against Walsh. That is the call. And Owen Walsh picks up his third. Scarlet Hawks fans not too pleased with that call. Meanwhile, St. Norbert, they love it. And actually, we will get a review here over at the table as Coach TJ Gray. Coach TJ Gray still in disbelief with that one. And now Ryan Cantlin will spearhead the replay review here as the officials go over it to see if it's an offensive foul. So Owen Walsh credited with the so it will remain an offensive foul. So the third foul against Walsh. Assistant coach Ebenezer Nunu still trying to keep his team's energy up and keep them in the game. He's saying, okay, White, we're okay. There's usually a vote of confidence from your coach saying, hey, disregard the calls. They're not going our way, but we're hanging in there. We're playing tough. We're doing the right things, just not getting the bounces or the calls. Here's Cox for three, and he knocks it down. That's a tough break for Illinois Tech. Cox had been cold his last few times with the ball, but now he hits that three to get to 17 points. Far and away the leading scorer in this game with 17. Only he and Kuzmanovic for Illinois Tech have double figures. Kuzmanovic has 11. Here's Walsh over to Davis. Davis turns the corner, almost fell, didn't get the whistle, but he finished in traffic. Coach TJ Gray still just working the officials. You can see him there at the bottom of your screen. He thought there should have been a foul for John Davis, the third. Stuckey picked up by Walsh. Illinois Tech in that zone. That sort of changed the pace of this game. And I mentioned how Cox had been cold. He's had a hard time shooting over some of those zone closeouts. Now you see, look at him. He's in the same spot with Lathos. Now they get it to Cox. You don't usually see that with St. Norbert where they get 2-3 guys in the same spot. It worked out for him as everyone collapsed on the ball. And Cox showed off the goggles as he hit Freiberger for the backdoor layup. 6 for Freiberger. St. Norbert was so out of position, they were so out of sync offensively that they ended up with a wide open layup on that play. And the Green Knights lead it by 7. Kuzmanovic left that one short. That was actually a good no call by the official as Kuzmanovic just left it short. Now, if it's out of bounds, it will go to St. Norbert. However, it appeared that maybe it was deflected. But that's not the case. It will go to St. Norbert. The main storyline maybe these last 4 minutes has been Coach TJ Gray working the officials here. And that story continues on the sideline. Meanwhile, on the floor, here's Lathos. Top of the key three, left wing anyway. Missed it, rebounded by Carter. Here's Davis. Davis under the front court, right wing for Illinois Tech. Picked up by Lathos on a switch. Davis out to Carter. Carter into traffic, right-hand layup. Just a grown man basket. Almost worthy of a flex for Garrison Carter. Only 4 in the game for Garrison on a night where he celebrated scoring 1,000 career points. Currently sitting at 1,023 in his career with just two field goals. Lathos, wide open corner three. Off the rim. Good job by Galati to knock it away because that should have been a sure offensive rebound for Lathos. Davis gave it to Carter. Davis slips down, and the ball knocked out of bounds to St. Norbert. Illinois Tech, Coach TJ Gray just telling his team, TJ Gray telling his team, let's just go get a stop. Coach Ebenezer Nunu really just saying we're okay while he continues to say we're okay, keep doing our thing. And this combo of coaching staff for Illinois Tech, they've been at the helm for the last 6 seasons. Meanwhile, for St. Norbert, offensively, Grade goes in, missed, and Galati couldn't quite secure it. He tapped it away to Lathos. Fresh 20 for St. Norbert. Cox to Pitleski. to Lathos, who hands it right back to Pitleski and knocked down the three. Once again, St. Norbert with two guys in the same spot. Lathos was almost an extra defender on Pitleski, and he still drilled the three. Davis. Over to Ortiz. Carter for three. Carter couldn't match him on the other end. Rebounded by Lathos and over to Ryan Cox. St. Norbert by 8. Zone continues defensively for Illinois Tech, and they bait Cox into a turnover. Galati had Davis ahead of the pack. He goes into traffic. No whistle. Davis gets the offensive board. Slapped it out to Ortiz, who hits Carter for three. Garrison Carter knocking down the three after a bit of a helter-skelter, scrappy possession. That's how usually you'll see Carter and Ryan Cox score. Carter knocks down the three there. Cox in the Lathos. He swings over to Grade for three. Off the rim, Davis skies for the board over Pitleski. John Davis III, known for his scoring, but we're seeing everything else on display today. His ball handling, his rebounding, and really his defending. His disciplined defense has been key. Galati, corner three, knock it down. Nick Galati cashes in from downtown. The senior from right here in Chicago, attended St. Patrick. Knocks down the lucky three for Illinois Tech. He pulls them within two. Grade. Davis took a stab at it. Cox goes around him. Great composure by Ryan Cox. Went right around the attempt at a steal from John Davis III. And scored the bucket. Now Grade is called for a delay of game. So Grade, I think he made contact with the ball following the basket. And that will lead to a delay of game against St. Norbert. But the Green Knights still lead it by 4. Ryan Cox up to 19 in the game. Timeout with 10:28 remaining in the game. Scarlet Hawks searching for answers, but they don't appear to be too far away. We'll see what they come up with on the other side of this break. .28 remaining in the game. St. Norbert Green Knights with a 4-point lead over the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks at 45-41. St. Norbert has won 4 straight. They are first place in the NAC. Illinois Tech's won 3 straight. They're 5th place in the NAC. Illinois Tech hanging tough. It appeared St. Norbert, when they got up 13, were trying to put the Scarlet Hawks away. But a few threes and a few stops, Illinois Tech back within 4 and in control of the ball as we speak. As we resume action here at the Keating Center. Chris Rouse on the call courtside. Ortiz to Galati, top of the key, in and out, and in again, and right back out. Every part of the rim but the bottom of the net. Rebounded by St. Norbert. Iron unkind to the home team. Lathos picked up by Dudley and now Shoto. Feed inside to Brown. He's picked up by Dudley defensively. Brown with a long hold. He was able to swing on the pivot foot, but he couldn't finish. Rebound by Carter, who was looking for Ortiz, but he throws it to the table instead. Turns it over to St. Norbert in the front court. So St. Norbert will get 20 on this shot clock with 9:45 to go in the game. Brown, the first-year player out of Rolling Meadows, Illinois. He attended Fremd, just like Ryan Cox did. So another one of those Fremd kids on the team. Galati going up the floor, poked away defensively by Stuckey, and that turns it over to St. Norbert. Coach T.J. Gray upset with the non-call there. Coach T.J. Gray and assistant Standale King both working the officials here on the near sideline. They weren't pleased with the no call there. As Stuckey, it appears Stuckey did get a hand on the ball from at the table. Coach T.J. Gray still not a fan of that call. Stuckey swings it to Pitleski. Down low to Lathos, working on Dudley. Lathos got Dudley in the air and got it to go. Great composure, great patience, Cam Lathos. He was able to swing on the pivot foot, made a few moves to get Dudley in the air, and then he finally hit it all net with the off-balance Dirk Nowitzki-style step back. Maybe not quite like Dirk, as he wasn't all the way back to knock it down. Dudley inside, high screen and roll. Well, you score on me, I'll score on you. Dudley goes inside, he has 4. Lathos has 6. St. Norbert leads it by 4 with Stuckey going to Lathos. Lathos turnaround jumper. Couldn't duplicate the result that he had last time down. Rebounded by Ortiz. Ortiz leading the way in boards for Illinois Tech. He had 6 at halftime. I don't have the updated number, but I think he's at about 9 right now. Here's Shoto. Over to Ortiz. Shoto over to Dudley. Dudley backing down against Lathos. Gives it up to Shoto. Shoto way too far under the basket. And instead he turned it over to Brown. Brown to Olenbrock. Bit of a slow, fast break for St. Norbert as they had a 3-on-1 and it turned into a 3-on-3. Rebound for St. Norbert. It's long for Lathos, and then Dudley volleyball set the ball into the air instead of grabbing it. Brown over to Stuckey. Back to Brown. Brown thought about it. Now he'll kick it over to Lathos. Lathos another 3. That one's off the rim. Rebounded by Shoto. Illinois Tech into the front court. Shoto wanted to go inside, but no numbers. He kicks it out to Galati. Galati driving in. Good finish by Galati as he went around the defender. Remember, Walsh did that earlier. He didn't get the foul. Galati does it here. He goes in. Lathos over to Pitleski. Pitleski up top to Stuckey. Stuckey back to Lathos. Shot clock at 11. Lathos guarded by Shoto. You would think Lathos would try to post up here. Instead, Stuckey goes inside, floats it over Dudley. Bit of a pass there as Pitleski was wide open under the rim. He just caught it out the air and laid it up for 2. Pitleski with 7. Shoto out top. High screen from Dudley. Shoto over to Galati. Galati's actually had the hot hand these last few minutes for Illinois Tech. Only 5 in the game, but he's hit a 3, and that was a big layup on the last possession. Nice drop off Dudley to Kuzmanovic, and that's what Illinois Tech loves out of those big men. We saw that with Joshua Iguati last year. He was higher on the wing, though. This season they go with Dudley on the low block, and he's been very efficient with dropping those passes off for layups. Nice dive cut by Walsh to get that bucket. Olenbrock with a dive cut. Dudley made him think about it, and then he missed it. Loose ball on the floor as Lathos and Kuzmanovic battle for it, and a great play by Lathos as he knocked it off of Kuzmanovic, and it will stay with St. Norbert. 6:07 to go in the game. We'll take a timeout. St. Norbert by 2. NAC men's basketball with a great presentation here inside the Keating Sports Center. St. Norbert by 2. We'll be back with more after this break on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network and YouTube Live. (49-47) our score with 6:07 remaining in the game. St. Norbert by 2. They are 5-2 on the season, 3-0 in conference play. 4-game winning streak on the line against Illinois Tech's 3-game winning streak. Illinois Tech is 4-4, 2-1 in conference play. This is a battle of first place versus 5th place in the current NAC standings. And it will be Will Stuckey to inbound here for St. Norbert. Stuckey with the leading scorer for St. Norbert, only 5 in the game, but he triggers the inbound to Brown. Pitleski inside. There is Stuckey for three. Knock it down. Right on cue. Will Stuckey buries the three. He has 8. That's his first 3 of the game. He's 1 from 3. I mentioned Nicholas Ortiz on the rebounds earlier. Just under 9. He has 8. Garrison Carter for 3. He gets it right back for Illinois Tech. Carter has 10. His second 3 of the game. 1,031 career points for Garrison Carter. Excuse me, 1,029. He came in 1,019. Remember, he amassed 1,000 on Saturday. Back up top to Pitleski. Pitleski to Cox. Cox gives it up to Brown. Brown stopped on the dime. Pitleski for 3, looking for breathing room. Instead, he hit the rim, rebounded by Carter, who now has a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds. Common occurrence in the 4 years from Garrison Carter. The senior out of Island Lake, Illinois, attended Wakanda High School, and currently at 1,029 career points, now has another double-double, 10 points and 10 rebounds in the game. Shoto was looking for Carter. Ball knocked out of bounds. It will belong to Illinois Tech. 10 on the shot clock as Shoto will inbound in front of me here at the table. And actually, Shoto will come out of the ball game. It'll be Ortiz, Walsh, Kuzmanovic, Davis, and Carter, the 5 for Illinois Tech, against Stuckey, Pitleski, Brown, Cox, and Freiberger, the 5 for St. Norbert. Davis. High screen from Carter. Carter for 3 in the lead. Off the rim. Kuzmanovic battling. Shot clock should reset. It does right when Illinois Tech gathers possession. Davis over to Ortiz. Ortiz. Back to Walsh and right back. Ortiz to Kuzmanovic. Corner 3 for the lead. O'Brien couldn't knock it down either. Carter with a push and a foul. Good call by the officials. Carter with a clear push in the back on Pitleski. Only the second against Garrison Carter. But now with 4:28 to go, St. Norbert takes over on offense. 52-50. Ryan Cox leads the way with 19 points. He's standing at the left angle you can see right there at the left of your screen. Stuckey. Illinois Tech retreats to their zone. It's been 2-1-2 the majority of the game. Here's Cox. Feeds it to Pitleski. Backdoor pass to Freiberger, wide open as Ortiz sort of got caught leaning one way, and the pass went the opposite direction where Ortiz was just out of reach to knock the ball away. Kuzmanovic looking for Carter. There he is. He goes inside against Brown. He sort of forced it up, but he drew the foul to Garrison Carter. Ryan Brown did good on the first pump fake from Garrison Carter. He kept the discipline. He didn't reach. But then when Garrison hit it with the second shot fake, Brown made contact with the arm and drew his first foul of the evening. Carter will go to the line, but he will go after the break. 3:54 to go in the ball game. Scarlet Hawks down by 4. We've got a good finish shaping up here inside the Keating Center. We'll be back with more here on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network and YouTube Live. Courtside at the Keating Sports Center in Chicago, Illinois. I'm Chris Rouse here on the call, where the St. Norbert Green Knights have a 4-point lead over the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks. Final 3:54 of the ball game. St. Norbert by 4. They're led by Ryan Cox, who has 19 points. Garrison Carter currently has 10 in the ball game, and he'll go to the line for 2 free throws, looking for points 11 and 12, following the foul drawn on number 12, Ryan Brown. And Garrison hits the first. Carter now with 11 in the ball game. 1,030 career points following that free throw. Now looking for 1,031, which will be 12 in the ball game. And he gets just that. So Illinois Tech within 2. and they extend their defense, which has been common from Illinois Tech in this ball game after free throws. It was a stretch where Illinois Tech was down 13. That was earlier in the second half. They've rallied back to make it a one-possession game. Literally a field goal here. It's just a 2-point game. Brown on the drive. He goes inside. Couldn't finish. And a bit of a attempt to dunk it home by Freiberger. He didn't quite stuff it, but he got it to bounce up and in for 2. Freiberger with 10. Davis over to Walsh. Ortiz. A couple of defenders went down. Davis hits Carter. Carter for 3. Carter couldn't hit the 3. Now Davis knocked the ball down through the legs of Stuckey. We got a hustle for the loose ball and a timeout by Gary Gresh of St. Norbert. Well, Coach Gresh has been doing this for 19 seasons. You would expect the coach to understand, hey, let's burn a timeout in that situation. And just a smart heads-up play by Coach Gary Gresh and the St. Norbert coaching staff. Coach Gresh, 360 career wins, 360 and 119. And I mentioned how he had the 3 leading scorers last year, Brant Wilson, Jamison Nikolai, and, of course, Garrett Gresh. Garrett Gresh now an assistant coach on the staff for St. Norbert. And the Green Knights, a team that had all three of their leading scorers depart via graduation. Now they have all new leading scorers from a season ago, but they're all players that were on the team last year. We talk about Stuckey and Pitleski. This is a team that not only do they have some guys that were in the rotation and played last season, they're also now getting some of that same coaching from one of their top scorers a year ago in Garrett Gresh. And to this point of the season, it's worked out for St. Norbert. They are in first place. Right now, the favorites to win the NAC, which would be a repeat for them if they were to win the NAC Conference Championship tournament, win the Conference Tournament Championship. They won it last season by beating Wisconsin Lutheran. Right now, they are in first place and looking to make it 5 straight wins against Illinois Tech. It'll be Connor Pitleski inbounding in the backcourt to Will Stuckey. Lathos, Cox, and Freiberger round out the 5 for Illinois Tech with Pitleski and Stuckey. Stuckey guarded by Galati. He's joined by Ortiz, Davis, Kuzmanovic, and Carter, the 5 for Illinois Tech. Here's St. Norbert's number 5, Ryan Cox. Pitleski to Lathos. Cox was open, but Lathos didn't force it. Pitleski into traffic. Drive and drop. He hits Lathos for 3, and Cam Lathos drops the 3. Drive and drop it off. That was a simple setup there by Pitleski. He literally just hesitated on that dribble before kicking it out. Carter inside. Gets his shot rejected by Pitleski. It's run down by Galati. Davis. Davis gives it to Kuzmanovic. I thought Davis was going to let it fly himself. It's Galati who goes on the drive. Galati looking for Ortiz back door. It's a kick ball as Freiberger stuck the foot out. I'm not so sure he stuck it out. Really was more so just trying to keep up with Ortiz on the baseline. And he had the foot out when the ball got there. Just happened to boot the ball as he got there. Ortiz to Carter. Carter baseline jumper. Off the rim. Davis sort of got pushed, and the ball go out of bounds to St. Norbert. No whistle for Davis, and that'll turn it over to St. Norbert with 2:13 to go in the game. Green Knights by 7. And we've seen them in this game take the air out of the ball a few times. Let's see if they do that here. Now with the clock becoming an ally for their St. Norbert. Cox to Brown. 19 in the game for Ryan Cox. He hits Pitleski. Brown looking for his first points of the game. Air ball, or was it a pass? It was such an air ball that Cox caught it right out of the air and just laid it up and in for him. 21 for Cox. Ortiz for 3 off the rim, rebounded by Stuckey. And with 105 seconds to go, St. Norbert taking the air out of the ball. Cox into the front court, guarded by Ortiz. And 90 seconds to go in the game. St. Norbert just letting that clock tick. 9-point advantage. Ortiz trying to apply the pressure. Cox for 3. Couldn't hit it. Would have been the dagger. He has 21. He was going for 24 there. Davis on the drive. Davis is fouled on the floor. The foul will go against Stuckey. So Stuckey picks up his first. And it comes with 74 seconds to go in the game. And a bit of a bench warning here as they're telling the St. Norbert bench to sit down. You can understand their excitement here, up 9. And looks like they're going to go to 5 straight wins. Galati on the drive at the free throw line. He turns around, kicks it out to Kuzmanovic. Illinois Tech is looking for a shot here. They're not even going to get one as Kuzmanovic turns it over with 59 seconds to go in the game. Illinois Tech gave St. Norbert all they could handle in this one. But in these final 4 minutes of this game, St. Norbert able to just pull away from the Scarlet Hawks. They lead it by 9 with 59 seconds. And it appears that, unfortunately for Illinois Tech, their 3-game winning streak will come to an end here just before the holiday break. And then for Illinois Tech coming up next, they'll hit the road and they'll head down to Puerto Rico for a tournament, as they'll go to the Puerto Rico Classico and take on Catholic University and take on Johns Hopkins on December the 20th and 21st. They'll also take on the University of Illinois Chicago, the UIC Flames, who are actually currently having their own women's and men's basketball doubleheader today. But they'll go, so it'll be Illinois Tech versus UIC, another matchup. We've seen Illinois Tech face UIC in the past before, but I think this will be their first time meeting in about 3 or 4 seasons over at Credit Union One Arena, not too far from here at Illinois Tech. And then the Scarlet Hawks return home on January the 3rd when they take on the MSOE Raiders in a women's and men's doubleheader. Coach Carissa Sain's women's basketball team will take the floor for the first time in 2026 against MSOE at 1. Then the men will take the floor for the first time in 2026 at 3:15 against the MSOE Raiders as well. St. Norbert, in this 7th all-time meeting against Illinois Tech, will be their 6th win, assuming results hold here in this final 59 seconds. Ball comes in to Stuckey, who's doubled in the backcourt by Davis and Shoto. Pitleski under the front court. Let's see if Illinois Tech still fouls here, despite it being 11, but might have been a 9-point game. And yeah, it appears they're going to call it off. Usually you wait till about, I was about to say, there's about an 11-second differential game in shot clock. Let's see if they foul here. But they do foul with Carter. So with 20 on the shot clock, 41 in the game, so that will extend the clock at least. After this, St. Norbert will take on UW Oshkosh. That will be on Saturday at 2 p.m. And then St. Norbert will host their own tournament, the National Bank Holiday Tournament, coming up on December the 29th, including UW La Crosse, St. Olaf, North Central. So for St. Norbert, a chance to go into their own tournament and into the new year with a possible 8-game winning streak. This will be 5 straight. As now we get a foul with Grade going to the stripe, and now Brown will come back into the game as well for St. Norbert to replace Lathos. Great effort from St. Norbert, especially from Ryan Cox. Cox with 21 in the game to lead all scorers. Kuzmanovic with 13 for Illinois Tech to lead the way for them. Carter has 12. And now Galati gets the board off the missed free throw. Here's Davis. Up top to Carter, 3 on the way. Carter couldn't convert. We get a foul down low as Brown sort of just pushed Kuzmanovic out of the paint. So the foul, as expected, goes against Brown. And so now Kuzmanovic will go to the line for the 1-and-1 here. And Lathos will replace Brown. It's now Coach Gresh. And now he's working the officials trying to get explanation for that foul, but that was a clear push on Brown. As now Kuzmanovic puts one in the air and eats the first. 61-53, pretty good game from Obrad Kuzmanovic as he's working his way into this Illinois Tech starting lineup this season. Scarlet Hawks were without Igor Filipovich today, who is on that Scarlet Hawk bench in a black hoodie. He's also been a player that's been in the starting lineup. But with him out, Kuzmanovic gets to start today. And now Cox gets the rebound and a foul in the backcourt as Shoto will pick up that foul. That's 4 on Shoto. So Illinois Tech just trying to play the foul game to extend this one here. And now Ryan Cox will go to the free throw line. We don't officially give out player of the game here on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network, but you would think that if we did tonight, it would be Ryan Cox, 21 points for St. Norbert. Remember the old days back in when they would give out the player of the game for both teams in college sports. You would think it's Ryan Cox for St. Norbert and Kuzmanovic for Illinois Tech. And now Cox with 23 in the ball game makes it a 63-53 St. Norbert lead. Cox and Stuckey will extend the defense after Cox extended the lead to 10. Davis, 3 on the way. Off the heel of the rim, rebounded by Cox. And that should be it as Coach T.J. Gray is calling off the Scarlet Hawks. Stuckey gets into the front court. And the St. Norbert Green Knights will go to 6-2 on the season. They'll go to 4-0 in conference play, solidify their first place standing. Meanwhile, the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks will fall to 4-5. They'll go to 2-2 in conference play. And St. Norbert puts an end to Illinois Tech's 3-game winning streak. And now St. Norbert has won 5 straight of their own. They'll take on UW Oshkosh in their next matchup before they head home for their own home tournament, their Holiday Bank tournament, beginning on December 29th. Tough finish for the Scarlet Hawks here, and it's a tough way to go into the holiday break and wrap up events here at the Keating Sports Center for 2025. But for everyone here associated with the Illinois Tech athletics programs, I'd like to say thank you for tuning in and supporting Scarlet Hawks athletics all 2025 here on the Scarlet Hawks Broadcast Network and on YouTube Live. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure to come here to the Keating Center and to Stewart Field and to Ed Glancy Field and all the different places where we cover Scarlet Hawks athletics and cover these games. Been coming here to Illinois Tech to do these games since 2018, so it's always a pleasure to be here. And for another year of Scarlet Hawks athletics, I'd like to say thank you. And wrapping it up for everyone, I'm Chris Rouse. This has been another presentation of Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks men's basketball, where St. Norbert defeats the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks 63-53. We'd like to thank you all for joining us for another year of Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks athletics, and we look to see you in 2026. But tonight, St. Norbert, they're the victors with a 63-53 win. They end Illinois Tech's winning streak at 3 and begin their own streak at 5. For all of our crew here inside the Keating Sports Center and for everyone associated with the Illinois Tech Scarlet Hawks athletics program, we'd like to say happy holidays. Thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you in 2026. Until 2026, so long from the Keating Sports Center here in Chicago.